Okay, so hello everyone. Uh, so eto na ulit tayo sa ating guide. This is my solar Trouvere character. As you can see, last time we had a discussion on the equipments and equipment rather. And currently I do have change on my equipment. I used refined war boots to provide more physical and magic reduction. Hopefully in the long run I will get a better random attribute. And my enchant is currently also damage redux. So my focus now is, instead of getting a higher HP, I focus on getting a much better reduction. Currently I still do have a very low magic redux. I only have 107%. For damage reduction it's only 75.9. But then again, anyway, once I got a better random attribute for my armor, probably and hopefully it should be also magic reduction and physical reduction. Um, Also a better enchant if possible. For the garment, I am supposed to replace this with an ancient equipment, but so far the materials to refine ancient equipment is still expensive, so I'm saving my Zenny. The Zenny I have is to be used for Edga. I'm still in the process of completing or making sure that I will be able to buy Edga as soon as possible, so I'm not spending anything. So if you are still completing your equipment and currently have almost the same setup with me, might as well focus on completing your Edga before you buy anything. For the accessory, same goes. I'd better be using. I do have one equipment right now. This is a max attribute, by the way. Necklace of Oath, and this physical reduction is the highest attribute that we can get. So I will be using this one to increase my physical reduction from 75 to 84%. But not now. Once I completed my Edga, I will be able to replace this equipment that I have. So just to explain my card for my Southern Loot, I'm not gonna buy any more a plus 15 Southern Loot. Maybe it's not the priority right now, unless I do have lots of Zenny. Since I'm using support classes, I'm not really doing some boss hunting, so my Zenny is just based on an everyday grind. So, and if possible, if you are good with refining, that would also be a good source of Zenny. But if you are very unlucky with refine, might as well just focus on grinding and making sure that your Zenny is intact, and buy item one at a time. So as you can see, I do have a golem card 2 times, and it boosts my petrify resist along with the Mr. Scream, which as you can see, I failed my refine for this one. But since the default petrify resist is 30%, it already gave me a boost of 70%, and every every refine here is plus 2%. So overall I do have a 100% in the petrify or stone resist. So these are the only resist that I have, including the immunity to fear, which is very necessary for a solar trover. I do still suggest that for a headwear, might as well wear an eggshell view. It prevents yourself from being your items from being broken, which is pretty much helpful. For some of the other items, I stick with the mid-guard item unless you do have a much better equipment for this set. So there are instances that I replace what I wear. So for some time I do replace my offhand from Marine Bulwark My Marine Bulwark anyway has 10 of 4 and a Golden Thief Bug card with a max attribute, but for the damage received from PvP and GVG is only 4.5. So as of, there are instances that I am replacing it with a Sense of Living for a better cooldown of my Doomsday, especially if the enemy is not that painful. Now, something you will notice, if the enemy has a lot of damage, then definitely can stick with Sense of Living for faster cooldown of Doomsday, as well as other skills. It is being combo with your Faith Wheel. If you already have Faith Wheel, it also boosts, reduce further your cooldown by 10%. So these two items, I switch it from time to time depending on the scenario. Now I also have another offhand here for switching to increase physical damage reduction depending on the enemy. Anyway, if you feel like you need some physical reduction, then you have to switch for this one. Yeah, that was basically it. Is I also have another set of armor here. It also gives damage and magic redux with a snare resist, but I mostly use this armor for my Phantom Dancer, so it can actually give me better immobilization resist or snare resist, as my role for my Phantom Dancer is MVP stealing, so I can move every time. Okay, so much for the equipment. I can now proceed to the next, which is the runes. So my runes for my Solar Trouvere is not that great, but at least you will have an idea what are the things that to put in here. So I do have a Fate Divination card rune. This is very important because the higher it is, okay, so you can see there's a 80% chance of adding 2 different card effects at the same time to Tarot Card of Fate. So if you're gonna check your Tarot Card of Fate, so it's actually on your, see here, okay, where's that, sorry, okay, here is it. Here it is. So it says here that the Tarot Card of Fate has different set of effects: Temperance, Hanger, Judex, Hyder, Death, the Fool. This is very effective, both WoE, PvP, WoC, as long as it's player related battle, it's very effective. Like if you got hit randomly, you if you're already on Solar Trouvere, you have a chance to inflict passively Tarot Card of Fate to the enemy. So you can see this skill, Fate Guardian. When you are when single damage is higher than 15%, okay, you are possibly using Tarot Card of Fate to the enemy. Okay, and it restores your lost SP 5% every time you are using Tarot Card of Fate. Okay, so given that, a rune for Tarot Card of Fate is very essential, especially that it gives 80% chance of adding 2 different cards. So if we're gonna review the effects, okay, so if we're gonna look at it one by one how great it is, so let's see. First is it reduces the attack and attack for 50%, and if the enemy is an RM, imagine you have a Rune Master, MDB type, or Magic Dragon Breath, they will have a reduced 50% less from their attack and magic attack. They will now be less effective at war. Okay, and Hanger itself, it reduces attack speed and move speed. If they are trapped in a DD, there's a possibility that they cannot go out anymore from your Doomsday because they have a reduced move speed. Judex, it reduces all stats by 100. It's more like related to the skill of the beginner, which is the Mandragora Howling and the Gene Destroy. So it reduces the stats directly. Hider, so you cannot use skills or attack for 9 seconds. It's a good one. Death, it reduces the current HP by 50%, which is very painful. The Fool, it reduces SP by 100%. Okay, so all of these is very very painful in terms of PvP wise. What else are present on my runes? So, let's see. Well, just follow. I would suggest that if you're gonna use an attribute rune here, make sure you have the Vit and the Steel Depth, because this is a skill damage redux, and another one is a Vit. Vit is essential because you are using Apple of Eden, which gives higher HP to your allies as well as yourself. The higher your Vit, the better the provided HP. This one is also essential, I think, if your role is focusing on supporting, because it gives 2.4 seconds extra invisibility to the player you have resurrected. Okay, so a similar skill or similar to this is when you the priest. Okay, so our saints have this capability to give you invulnerability for, I think that's more than 5 seconds. I'm not sure exactly how the time or the duration of invisibility, but it's similar to that. Also, if you have a better rune to increase the cooldown or the cooldown reduction for Song of Return, your resurrection skill, then that's actually better. This one is what I am referring to. You should have, it is a must have rune to have your Apple of Eden, that doesn't need to be played continuously and doesn't continuously consume SP, because Apple of Eden is something that not only support yourself but also the whole party and guild members within the range of your Apple of Eden. Mine is a bit low when it comes to increasing the max HP, so as much as possible get a higher one, but since I can't get another Apple of Eden rune as of now, I still stick with the one with the third line. So third line is must have. For Doomsday, my tip for this one is better to get at least for the higher the cooldown, or the higher the reduction to the cooldown, it's a lot better than having a higher duration. But if you do have a third line with a high cooldown rate, reduction of the cooldown, then get that one. Okay, because for me, you don't need to put your Doomsday for the whole duration within if you're playing if you have a zone war or fighting in a battle, in a clash, there will come a time that some chronomancer will be able to dive at you and remove your Doomsday after most of the CMs are jumping every now and then, so definitely your Doomsday will be cancelled at some point, so you don't need a higher duration. So might as well get a faster cooldown rune for Doomsday. Okay, this damage is not that very important unless you are focusing on DPS, but if you are a diver, just focus on the better cooldown of your Doomsday. So the faster the cooldown, the better. For Braggis, this one is a must need. Okay, but the third line is not that very important in war. It does somehow when it terms of slowing down the enemy, making sure that they are not moving while you are cast, or they are slowed down whenever you cast Braggis Fate, but not that, I believe it's not that impacting. What's important here is the damage settlement, and both the damage settlement of yourself and your enemy, and also your guildmates. So the higher of this is, the better. So the definition of this skill is that the Braggis Fate will delay the damage that will enter while it is being casted. The players or your guildmates and yourself is not gonna receive any sort of damage, and then afterwards the damage will be calculated and will be deducted by at least 23%, not including the actual effect of the Bragg's Fate. If you're gonna check Bragg's Fate, so it is reduced by 50%. No, so if you're gonna add up that 24 or 23%, it's total of 75% reduction. Now if you're gonna look again at the runes, it can also boost the damage that the enemy is receiving, so you can use it also in an offensive way. So it can also provide you a plus 24% damage to the enemy. And as you know, this is commonly used in Thanatos Legend. If you ever heard of it, they are using Bragg's Fate to the Tesseract. If you have at least a god DPS or a very good DPS in your party doing Thanatos Legend, might as well at around 80% before the first before the Tesseract will become invulnerable the first time. You can definitely use the Bragg's Fate, and normally it becomes 0% and you don't need to get the key anymore. Finally, one of the runes that I have is the Rhythmic rune. Well, I'm using this one because of the chance of stunning the enemy. And while I am performing, it actually uses the level 5 vibration echo, or this skill, every other 7 seconds while you're performing. So it kind of gives a slow status to the enemy, and if possible they will get stunned. Yeah, that's so much for it. And most of my attribute rune focuses on damage reduction. So well, for this one, I hope I do have a better attribute rune. Yeah, right now I'm planning to use, actually instead of luck, I'm planning to use a size buff probably. So it gives me a medium monster reduction. So yeah, I will definitely use this and change this one. So yes, that's for my runes. For the skills distribution, let me see. You don't need a lot of damage. Just get the one that provides you better range. Just complete this one. Nothing. I think Dex is also important, but none of these skills are you gonna use during your solar Trouvere stage. But on this part, after you became a bard, this is most of, well, some of these are really will be your core skills, like your Apple of Eden. You can see it increases the own of it. Okay, so your max HP is increases when you have this skill, so you have to max it out. Momentary adaptation, do not forget this one, so that you can cancel your song from time to time. Cancel it and move and try to use a different one. Remember that after you ended one song and proceed with another, the effect of the previous song still remains for at least 5 seconds. Let me see. Okay. Let's see if we have that here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see the skill here, but let me just double check. Alright, so this one. So if you have a solo song performed, it will take effect for an extra 15 seconds after the performance. Therefore, you can combo it, like for example, using solo songs. Those are marked with green. These are solo songs, meaning you don't need illusion puppet or a partner dancer for you to perform this one. you can just definitely focus on um, after you use one, then just proceed with another. So some of the skills that I have added here is the one and bearing octave. This one is also actually good. This is similar with the first joke. For those who played ROPC before, RO Philippines, this is similar with the frost joke. Um, you will receive an extra 10% damage for 5 seconds, but I seldomly use it now because there are a lot of skills to use. I do have Tarot Card of Fate anyway, and during the war I need to resurrect players from time to time. It's kinda I tend to forget to use this, and it's an additional slot on my skill slot. So yeah, I'm seldomly use this one. But if you can use this all as well if you need to. Alright, so this one you don't need to max out this skill because the other the bonus that you will get here is already damage increase. You will only need this one if you are doing a severe rainstorm build, but if you're a DD diver, just focus on the songs that for supporting. Like well, if Mr. Goldrich is for those who are grinding for leveling up. I just added to just, you know, if in case needed by the guild, for those who are in need of leeching. Lullaby is very essential. It causes inflicting sleep status on all enemies within 5 meters. You know, for those who are using mentalist, this is one of their worst nightmares. Like me, I do not have much of a sleep resistance, so whenever I got hit by a lullaby, I tend to get sleep for I don't know, but it takes me a lot of time sleeping there. So most of the time I press my sleepless stone, so I always buy that during war to make sure that I won't fall asleep. Eternal Chaos for runs and war drum as well. There are instances I'm using war drum, but on our guild I do have a role to use the next skill that I will show you. Yeah, this one, Undying Siegfried, is a very essential skill. As you can see, this skill gives at least 30%. Okay, so minus 30% increase damage. Okay, so you will have a reduction on elemental damages as earth, water, and fire for at least 30%, and it also increases all abnormal status resistance by 30% as well. So this is very huge. If you can see the range of this skill, I'll show you. It covers a huge area. So normally, if you are using an Apple of Eden, this is just small. Okay. Other skills like Lullaby is like this. Okay, it's a bit huge. So let me just stop this one and show you the Undying Siegfried. So you see, it's humongous. Okay? A lot of players will be inside and being protected by this Undying Siegfried skill. So it's very good. Okay, you can definitely use this Undying Siegfried. Catalyst. So before I still use this catalyst skill, but for now I'm just gonna use this for emergency purposes. If for example I already don't have enough blue gem, then I can use this one to still be functional in resurrecting my colleagues or my guildmates. Nebula Engineering can increase penetration and MPen, so can be used for our the weeklies purposes. Palm of Blickies, this one is good, but I seldomly use this one. That's why I only put it level 5. It increases or provides a variable cast time of minus 12.5 and SP regeneration speed. So it's good if you tandem this one to SP Stellar, but on our guild we only have one Stellar Hunter, and most of the time I can't find him. So that's why. Finally, this Rocky Sorrow, good for defensive strategy. So there are instances that you can definitely cast Rocky Sorrow, especially if you're defending a castle. So once the enemies entered inside, they will be hit by Rakis. They will not be able to resurrect their members or cannot jump immediately because of the Rocky Sorrow. They can't move or anything. But be careful when using this one. Your party mates or your guild mates will also be able to expel after they after getting hit by Rocky Sorrow. So you have to cancel this Rocky Sorrow immediately after enemies are dead. So make sure to max out this don't hold me back skill, because so for you to move freely while you are performing. So this is a must needed skill. Also Encore is needed because it gives you a reduction in SP cost when you perform the same song. Especially I'm using GTB, it's a must needed one. Musical instrument proficiency is not needed because it only provides dex and attack, which only be essential for using the Severe Rainstorm build. Now moving on to the skill of the minstrel, we should max out the Song of Return. As what I have said, this one is can give you 7, can resurrect a teammate, then a raider song. So from time to time you can cast raiders and then switch on to different song. They have 15 seconds to get up a higher damage after casting the raiders. Some of the other skills that you might want to have is reverberation and vibration field. If you are adept on using these two skills, then that would be good, but I'm too lazy to utilize this, so yeah, I'm not using this one. But I just added it for some, probably in the future I wanted to use them. Performance class passive skill is also needed because it increases the max max SP and increases the SP regen. We also have metallic sound. I haven't seen this one work on anyone because it says here that it will stun enemy, but no, I haven't seen it work before, especially now that most of the players are 100% stun resist. Well, if I do hit someone who's stunned with this, then probably that person needs to get equipment check. Alright. Now, well, for the Solar Trouvere skills, as long as you have maxed out your hourglass, you can definitely add up everything. But for the reference of what skills you need to put, of course, Doomsday is very essential. End of Sun and Moon, you need to max this one and make sure you have upgraded the level of this skill to level 10. So yeah, that was it. Bragg's Fate is also a must needed skill here on your skill slot. I do put sometimes my chaotic poem, so this skill swap the 100% of basic attack and basic depth that lasts 10 seconds. It also reduces the attack and defense of the target by 30%. Okay, so it's very essential. Okay, what else? Illusion Puppet, of course. This is a very important skill for Solar Trouvere. This is what makes them perform those curse ensemble skills without having a partner dancer with him. It can summon an illusion puppet to follow you. Just be very observant if your illusion puppet is still active. So yeah, this one is a very nice additional skill for the Solar Trouvere. It makes them really strong. So another one that makes our Solar Trouvere really tough is this Pious Concerto. For those who doesn't know about this, that's why I prioritize my magic redux over my physical redux, is because whenever I perform an ensemble skill, I have an elevated damage reduction by 5%, and that is every unit that is affected by my ensemble skill. So for example, you are using Doomsday. Inside that Doomsday, you have you will also have an increased 5% for every players inside that Doomsday. Same goes if you are using Undying Siegfried and other skills. So every 5% on 5% on every unit is high. So at least 10 units, you already have 50% damage reduction. So yeah, that's how good this skill was. And for your information, by the way, we are very tough inside the Doomsday because enemies that are outside the Doomsday can deal 100% less damage to us. They can't really provide damage. So those who are only inside the Doomsday can hit and kill us. So you just need to survive 5 seconds, and those people inside your Doomsday will die after 5 seconds. Alright, so that was it for my skills. I'm gonna add up some demonstration of those skills on my video. Definitely I'll show you how the gameplay was by showing you some how I use it during war. Alright, so let's proceed to that. Electric.